Welcome everybody. I think I just started the podcast and it didn't happen. I think we're live now. I'm hoping we've got Anca Matthews waiting, and I hope I've got your name wrong. I'm dyslexic, so I say names as they sound. But I'm hope she can hear me. I can see her now. So we're live. I forgot to tell Anca's a little bit of a not dishonesty, but she asked me if it was on video. I forgot to mention that it was a live, the first ever live. So we're live streaming to the group Mindfulness and Positivity, which we do the podcast for, and straight into my YouTube channel, which is Christian Hoyle, Catalyst for Change. Anyone who's not subscribed to my YouTube channel, there's a little button down in the bottom right hand side of the screen. If you click that, you'll subscribe to my channel and never miss anything. We're doing this live. It already went wrong, and I wanted to do it live and show that if something goes wrong, we just pick ourselves up and move on. We don't have to create it to be a big thing. Big things are created internally in the mind, and that's our choice. And our choice is, when this first happened, and we were on the podcast. I've lost her now. She's just gone off the podcast. When things are live and different, I don't know whether I've just lost her when I said live, but she's just gone off the stream. I hope I've not scared her off by being live. But I want to use the example that everything that goes on with us is self-created and everything is temporary. So when that moment, if you just seen me 5 minutes ago when the podcast first came on, I was thinking if anything's going wrong, I could see her in the bottom and I was trying to speak to her, but she couldn't hear or see me. And I thought, oh my God, the first live one, and we've got a problem. We've got her back now, so I'm going to bring her in. I thought I'd scared her off, then she disappeared from the little screen that we get with it. But you've got an opportunity to share your thoughts today. We're going to be doing all the podcasts from now. We're going to be live to the group, then replayed back to you. So this is your opportunity. If you're on Facebook contacting us, because I use a thing called StreamYard, we won't see who you are. So write down your name. If you've got any questions, anything that comes up that you want to talk to us about. It's a new thing. We've just started doing them live. How exciting to be right here, right now in the moment. I'm going to bring Anca in now. Is she? She's coming. Is this going to work? I hope it does. Are we getting her? I need Ant and Deck to pop in now and go, they're absolute veterans at the live thing, and they never miss anything. So if anyone knows Ant and Deck, can you get them to give me a call or what to do when we go live? I can sort of see answers in there, but I've sort of lost. Let's see if I can remove her and bring her back up to the stream. Every single podcast I do, it just works. I press the button, they're down there in the bottom screen, I bring them in, it all works. The second that you do something live is the second that it's all going to go wrong. So I'm going to bring in Anca now. She's there, I can see her. I'll remove her from the stream, bring her back in, add to stream. So apologies for anyone who's watching live. We've got one person, so it's the first ever person we've ever had live. I don't know who you are, but thanks for tuning in. It may even be our amazing Katie Wise. So Anca's going to... I wonder where we're going to leave her now. We'll bring her back in. Yeah. I just feel like the energy inside me is draining away, thinking like inside my mind there's people running around going, I can't get the video on. And on the outside, I'm trying to be relaxed and cool about it. And all them people are running around my little mind saying, you should have sorted this one before. You've done this before, haven't you? This is you all over. Well, let's see if we can get her. Come on, here we go. We're going to get her now. Here we go. I'm going to click that button. She's just going to come in right now. Boom. It's going to happen in 3, in 2, in 1. She's not there. So I've called it today. So the podcasts are live from now on. We're going to have a number, like we do. We've got a number of brilliant podcasts coming up. I need to be better at telling people in the group when they're coming on, who we're getting on. I personally never, ever like to speak to people before the podcast because I want to catch them right here, right now in the moment of authenticity. Because when we do it right there and then, I've got nothing. I've not got nothing to judge anyone. I've got no preconceived thoughts on it. I just literally put them on and we have a great time and we're right there in the moment. She's just gone offline again. She'll be hopefully coming back on. But I think given the opportunity to speak to people on the podcast is one of the most amazing opportunities I've ever had. Because some of the people we have on, I've got some stories to tell, and not everyone's got a story. And it's some people are better at telling that story. Some people are excellent at delivering it. I think she's going to be. I think this is her. I'm going to press this button. She's going to come on. Yes. Can you hear me? No. Can you? No, you can't hear me.
Christian. Hello. Yeah. I am so sorry. I can just about. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me? Is yours? Are you having a signal issue where you are, or is it my end? It probably is because I'm not the most technical. What's the reception like at your point? This is it's funny. First time ever live, and this has never once happened. I've never had this. I think this is about my 12th podcast that I've done. Are we back? Are you back?
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah. I was just saying this is probably my.
I'm definitely back.
This is probably my 12th one that I've ever done, and it's never not worked. The first day that I do it live is the first day it doesn't work. Is that not life in one statement? Are you okay? Is it Anca? Did I get it right when I said it? Apologies if I got it wrong.
You are perfectly right. And do you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually Anca, but don't worry, Anca. I've heard all sorts.
I say it like Anca. I've made up a letter because it's a C, so it is Anca. Sorry, I am dyslexic. You can probably see it there in that. I see letters differently. Anca. It's a lovely name. I've never met anyone called Anca. Is your signal at your end normally quite good, or does it normally remove a bit? Anca, where you are, is the signal always good, or is it sometimes up and down, or how does it work?
You still there, Christian?
Yeah, I'm here. I can see you. What's your signal like? Do you know on the Wi-Fi that you're at now? Is your signal good? Nothing. The signal. The only one time we've gone live and it's not happening. Are you getting any of this? We'll keep drifting in and out. Am I drifting in and out, or are you staying there? I'm trying to work it out. And I'm actually dying to talk. I can just feel this is going to be a really good conversation as well. It just keeps coming in and out. I suppose it's a bit like this is life in one thing. Like everything goes smoothly all the time. Yep, brilliant, all it is. Until the day that you really need to get it done on time, wherever you are. Is anyone else, can you let us know in the chat if anyone's live and seeing this? Can you let us know that you're there? Have we got Anca back?
I think I am back. Hi, Christian. Hi. Like you said a second ago, yes, life happens. And you know what? Life is beautiful that way. Because if everything would go perfect every time, and if everyone would be perfect, how boring would that be?
I totally agree. And how do you feel like when you asked me, I didn't tell you it was live because I thought, I don't know how you're going to react to that. And if you don't know, it's still a podcast. It's still a podcast. You know, we've got someone watching, yeah. Tom, who was on a previous one. Excellent. I can see you there, Tom. Glad to have you on board. I had a podcast, and I'd recommend this one. It was a guy called Tom Mappin. Don't know if you ever saw it. It's on the site. I loved him. And another thing, I can just say this now because he's listening. Loads of people have contacted me, and I mean personal friends, to say how much they love you, Tom. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not just saying it now because I've seen you're on. People loved him. Yeah, it's great. So live, so it's new. It's all new. So how's it going? How's it going, Anca? How's things? How's life treating you at the minute? Oh, every time we're gonna start, she goes. She's back.
Oh, life. I can still hear you. I can.
Wow. I feel like my life is just draining from the outside. I've got this, like, I know that we're going to have this amazing conversation. I know it's going to happen. I can feel the energy of it. And so one of us is having signal things. I don't know whether it's Anca or it's me, but we will resolve it and we will get a podcast done in any way we can, because ultimately, just like life, things get done when you worry and consciously think about the things going on and you create like an anxiety or an energy. It's that takes over the present moment, when really, like, now what's the difference between now as before is that people get to see that when you're faced with difficulties, how you act. And practicing patience. I like that. That is so right, Tom. That is so right. I am being patient. I'm waiting, because how I know about Anca is because when we're in the group, I'm often looking through it and reading people's comments that they make and whatnot. And there was at least 2 posts that Anca did that I found that were absolutely. I actually contacted her, said, "Did you write that yourself?" And she said, because I was thinking it was just kind of like, I'm not the best writer, so I will post some other people's work because I'll read it and think that's exactly the way I want to say it, but I can't write it like that. So I'll sometimes do it. So I'm just going to remove her and bring her back in, and hopefully she comes. So yeah, so she wrote that. So she wrote this amazing post. It was about, I think it was about what she just said then, about being in the moment more and about accepting that life at all times has different things going on it. I think a life with like what Anca just said then, and the little limited time we got, which has made me quite excited about what we've got to go with the podcast, that life can't be without emotions. Like you can't have a life without having disappointment. You can't have a life without having setbacks. You can't have a life without the negative things of it, because everything has to happen within it. So you have to have things going wrong when things go right. But what we have the ability to do is, when things are going wrong, to just accept that they are. You know, when I first started, and I'll be honest, I was flapping a bit. And as you become more relaxed as it goes, it becomes like, you know, accepting of the moments that we're having. You know, I'm not prepared for having a podcast where we're having an issue, but we're having it now. And this is me in my total entirety facing difficulties, but I'm here and I'm having them. You know, I've never had to have a podcast of just speaking to myself and keeping it waiting, but it's here. It's been sent to me. The universe has delivered something, which is a test, but also in anticipation of the actual event, which we're waiting for. I'm not too sure if Anca's having a problem with her Wi-Fi, or if it's me. I think that I can be seen. Don't know if you're still there, Tom, but can you see me? And can we see Anca? Because I can see that I can see she's there, but we're just having that technicality getting her there. It's just not happening. Oh, yeah. So we will have this podcast with Anca. I don't know whether it's going to be now. I'm just going to try her now on a phone to see if we can get it. Let's have a look. The beauty of thing, we've still got the phone. Ant and Dec are going to pop out now. Go, we planned it. We had this. No, Anca, yeah. Cheers, Tom. We planned it. And Tom won't even know who Ant and Dec is. Ant and Dec, Tom, are a famous British entertainers who are, like, I would say, the best British entertainers. We've grown up around them and they're absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, you should check them out. So I've totally lost her off the stream now. So hopefully she'll come back in and we'll resolve it. But it will happen. And I can just tell, you know, like, some people have a real good energy about them, and Anca's got that. I say that I don't do a lot of checking on people. I've seen a couple of her videos where she's giving some information out, and I found a very grounded kind of way of delivering information. This is her now coming through on audio. Hi, Anca. What is it? Do you think? Have you got good signal where you are? Right. Okay. Okay. And every time you go in it just won't let you in, will it not? Okay. I've had that. One sec. Tom, you are the most useful guy watching this. I appreciate it. Is my sound delayed, Tom, or do I sound all right? Obviously, we're total professional. No, I mean, don't be thinking we're not professionals and know what we're doing here. And, Tom, can you confirm if you can hear me properly? If I'm getting sounded through? Because Anca's not been able to hear me. I haven't yet to hear him come through yet. All right. Oh, it's a video call I'm on now, is it? All right. Just try one more time, go in the stream. I wonder if sound timing is perfect, he says at my thing. So my sound. Oh, thanks, Tom. Oh, Tom, you're an absolute inspiration. Thanks, mate. We're gonna need you on every. So you just try and come on that stream again, Anca, and then we'll. If you can't get in this last time, we might have to resolve it a different way. But we will get there 100%. So that's all I do know. All right, cool. All right, wicked. Well, Tom, you've just sort of put yourself down now as sort of the chief engineer for these podcasts. Now, I'm probably going to need you live in every single one. There's a job there for you. I'm going to be honest; it doesn't pay well, but you're part of the thing. But this time, I'm going to press it. She's going to be in, and this is just going to work. Yes.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely, perfectly fine. I know, finally. But you know what?
Wow.
We didn't give up. That's the main thing. We didn't give up. We kept going.
I've got used to it now in life. I think everything I ever do doesn't quite got a plan. So after a bit, you sort of learn how to sort of wing it through it, sort of thing. Yay, Tom! Yeah. Tom's accepted. We're both on.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you very much, Tom.
So then, how is things going then, Anca? How's life?
Ooh, life is it's busy. It's wonderful. It's challenging. It's productive. It's everything in between, and whenever some people say, oh, I wish I could have done that, and I wanted to do this week, but it didn't work, and so on, and they go, oh, I'm so, anything I try, it doesn't work. I never see it that way. I just go, yeah, there was a hiccup, but I found another way to do it. Or do you know what? Maybe it wasn't its time to happen then. So I've done something else instead. And I never look at it. For example, yesterday I had an entire list of to-dos, as you do. And you're trying to tick the boxes and go, right, I have to do this before that and so on. And then actually family came first before even 7 a.m. We got a call saying, we need you, my partner and I, we need you, can you come and help us and whatever. So everything went out the window, but I looked at it as it was a chance to spend a day with my loved ones and build on the connection that usually families rest on, basically. So yeah.
Go on,
how about you?
Me, I've had an amazing week. If I have to be totally honest,
I'll tell you what,
I've done something phenomenal. That one of my friends, she's approaching 60. Oh, she might not want. And actually, I'll tell you one thing I like about her. I've got other friends who've approached 60, and they've been really quiet about it, scared to say that they're coming of this age. She has no problem. She's like, that's who I am, Christian. That's who I am. So I want to be. So she wanted to go on a cycle. Have you ever been cycle touring? Have you ever been? So cycle touring is basically getting on a bike. We went to Carlisle on the train. We got off at Carlisle, and then we biked from Carlisle to Edinburgh over the next 2 days. So stopping in Hoyk on the way there, and then going to the next place. And we did this amazing bike tour. So you can see what's good about it is you see places that you'd never dream of seeing. Like where are you based? I don't know where you're based.
I'm in Hampshire.
Hampshire. So what?
Hampshire. South. It's somewhere between Dorset and. Do you get it?
I know Dorset.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the next one.
Okay.
It's right next to it.
So perfect would be a cycle tour there. What'd it be? You get off and you're like, the good thing about cycle tour is you're exercising, which makes you feel good all the time. you're seeing the most breathtaking places that you live in. Like this, I'm drifting from the point, but where I live in the Lake District, and where I live, I go out biking every Tuesday night, and we still find places within 5 miles of where I live where I go, wow, this is like yesterday, just as I was coming to Edinburgh from Peebles, we ended up at this church. The church was just random. I've actually got anyone on my YouTube channel. There'll be a video of my tour. And there's this random church, the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. You'd never have seen it unless you went on a cycle tour. You get to eat what you want. You get to see these places. You get to feel good. And I'll tell you what it is, we went to Scotland, and I like to think the world's a very friendly place, and I think it is, and that's what I want to attract. Oh my God, it was all like they had me as a happy. They knew I was a happy shopper going to Scotland to check out what the Scottish people are like, because they were so kind and so nice, and they went, "Oh, it was great. Everything about it was great." Yeah, so I had like an awesome week.
I can feel the energy coming through. Yes, absolutely. And I feel, well, I'm not so much into cycling, I have to say. My partner is, though. He's even done Tour de France.
Has he? So, competed?
No. With his cycling club, you know, he's not an athlete per se, but he did, you know, when he goes for something, he really goes all the way. So, but no, I get it though, Christian, because when you exercise, you just feel this rush of endorphins, and it's the most natural way to feel happy straight away, to have that buzz and that energy that kind of feeds you through the day. That I lift weights. I love lifting weights. I discovered them when I was 17, and not to competing level, but I love it for so many reasons. First of all, because you get to push your limits. You know, I'm a 5'3" woman, 8.5 stones, that kind of, you know, range. And but I love to push my limits. I love to, you know, even if you add just 1 more kilo to your usual exercise, like you would go on the bike and you go like, I've done 50 miles. Let's do
the weights as well.
Yeah. So totally get it. And because I believe we share pretty much the same mindset, you know, just push your physical limits, push your emotional limits, push your mental limits, push your boundaries, you know, to see, does it feel uncomfortable? The heck with it, you know, just go for it. Are you ready 100%? No, about 70, 80, doesn't matter. Go for it, you know. So, and that's exactly it. And like you said, you know, people are friendly to you and nice to you because you bring that to the experience. You bring that to the table.
Yeah.
And you go, hey, mate, I've never met you before. I'm just a passerby, but I would like to say hello. And people respond. They feed off your energy, don't they? And that's honestly amazing.
You wouldn't believe how many times that happened. And I'm that person anyway. I am that person. I go to the sandwich shop near here and I'll speak to people that I don't know. And it happens all the time. But in Scotland, it was like...
Likewise.
It was like, even for me, I do it anyway, but I don't have everyone doing it to me. You know, I imagine if you're the same as me, you do it. Not everyone does it, do they? Not everyone's a flow of light everywhere you go. And I think that's why I try and do that. Everywhere we're in Scotland, I swear, we'd be sat outside, so me and Di would be chatting, and then someone would like offer some advice because he'd heard us. And it was like, I just found it fun. Like, here we go, the church I just said. We got to this church, and I was having a sly pee, not at the church, near it. And then I saw this guy and I thought, oh my God, is he coming over to say something? He wasn't. What he was coming over to, he went, it's a nice church, isn't it? And I went, yeah, it is a nice church. And he said, do you want to see some part of it? And he showed us a part, and then and he was into climbing, he was into cycling himself. We had this brilliant engagement that was like, would never have happened unless we'd have been there and allowed it to happen.
Yeah. And that is, again, I think we, in general, humanity, not just you and I, you know, in general, we as people, and more so the newer generation, has been raised with the idea that you can't really engage so much with strangers because danger stranger, you know, that kind of mentality and so on. And also from a woman's point of view, sometimes you
Mm,
were told you need to keep safe, honey. You can't actually be that friendly because that might be taken, the wrong
mm,
way, etc. And however, I had a really clever mum who said to me, honey, you have to learn how to talk and behave with everyone from every part of the society, rich people, poor people, smart people, not so smart,
yeah, yeah.
kind, not so kind. Just learn how to read and understand people.
Mm.
And that has been a tremendous help in my life and my, work and experience. I think I lost you again.
No, you
Can
weren't
you hear
going then.
me?
But it's like you take opportunities by not taking them, by creating them.
Oh,
And that's
Christian,
something.
that was going so well.
Have you gone now? Can you not hear me again now?
I am back now. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I was just saying that you make
Yeah.
opportunities are everywhere, but we have to be homed in to accept them. I'm a believer in universal gateways. It's a very complex thing I'd have to talk about more. But I believe that everything that I say that I want to achieve will pop up in front of me, but it's my choice to whether to enter it. No one comes and opens a box and goes, here's what you want, have a look inside. You have to see it and engage it and go into it. And I think that's something that some people miss out on. And it's through fear or other self-created thoughts inside themselves, and it pulls them back from getting the full grasp of life. But what you were touching on, one thing, as a woman, like as I was going to say that as if I am one, no, but as a woman, I do. Di said I went with Di because she felt uncomfortable going on her own because as a woman,
Yeah.
you're right. I've got a 12-year-old daughter. And I've just had to because she's just like gorgeous. She's just gone poof, gorgeous, and all kinds of womanly things are happening. I've had to start telling her about life,
Yes.
like stuff
Yeah.
that you hide from them before. But now I'm having to be a bit more, because I think it is different. I've never been a woman, but I was brought up in a single parent family by having a mum and a sister. So I was around women. So I've never, and I have it's a sad existence that you have to think differently to me in certain social situations.
Well, first of all, you said you've never been a woman, which I found absolutely hilarious and very funny. You can always change your mind, as we both know. You can always change your mind. And but you know what? It's actually refreshing to see that as a dad, you want to understand it from a girl's and a woman's point of view. And I think we have made this separation between genders such a drastic and well-defined thing, as in, as a man you behave X, Y, and Z, as a woman you have to behave A, B, and C, instead of actually looking at each other as humans, as individuals. Regardless, a woman has the right to safety and physical and mental and integrity just as well as a man. There's no difference whatsoever. PTSD and traumas happen regardless of the gender, regardless of the age or your nationality or your beliefs and whatever. They do happen. But I think we have lost track of actually seeing each other, all of us, as humans and putting that at the forefront of how we treat each other. But yes, it is a factor in terms of safety. Even if I go cycling with my daughter, we don't do big tours, and I always try and cycle around places where there are other people around. And I can tell you, I see so many actually guys who go on their own, and there's not a problem whatsoever, and I admire their courage. But I'm afraid if I would encourage my daughter to be that brave, it may not be safe for her.
It's sad, isn't it? Do you know what? It's a sad acceptance, but sometimes what you've got to do is you could say none of that's true, but it sadly is. And sometimes the situation tells you what it is, and you can either choose to look at the evidence or you can just do it anyway. And sadly, like Di, I'll be honest, I've left Di. She went, because she's been with, what happened was Di was a bit older than me, so I kept leaving her on the cycle because you can only go at a certain rate. And after a bit, she went, I've actually realised that I'm all right here. everywhere we've seen, I've been all right. So she's actually gone off for a few more days on her own. So she's now in Inverness she's just sent me some amazing pictures. She's having a great time. I'm a bit envious. But yeah, it is sad. And like what you said before, I realized that I really don't understand. Like, I've always had a partner, I've had a sister, I've got loads of women friends. Like, I don't see that back. You know, like the old days, men knocked around with men. I've got quite a lot of women mates. I've just been having a coffee just before here with my mate Viv, and she's a good friend. But my daughter, I've had 3 kids. One's 21, he's doing amazing. Ava's the youngest. I have no idea, no clue. Honestly, more and more, I get reminded that because I can often think male, and how I go about things is I don't know, with the boys it worked, and sometimes I'm like, I feel like I've not failed on her, but I've got to be different, and it's challenging, I'll be honest. And sometimes I find it's a weakness of mine.
How about you think it's a weakness? Just the fact that you acknowledged it, Christian, that's that's a step forward. You are aware of it. So many people, so many men and women, I'm not, saying that one or the other is better or worse. They tend to avoid it. Okay, I don't want to face it. I'm not comfortable with talking about this. My daughter, she is 10 going on 11, and they started sex education at school.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I remember this.
yeah. So, yes. And because I have had, I'm 43, so my generation.
I'm 43. I'm 43
oh, there
as well.
you go.
Are you 1977?
No, I'm 78, so I'm turning 43 this Sunday coming.
Okay, no way, you'd have been right. Yeah, but yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So, yes, but I remember the awkward conversations and the things that were not actually brought to the surface, with my mum family with, it was hush hush, you can't talk about this, that's not appropriate, or that is. And I realized I felt uncomfortable about it. And then I did a little bit of self-introspection and thought, I don't want my daughter to have the feelings and the thoughts towards sex and who she is and gender and, what happens between, 2 people. I don't want that to be uncomfortable for her too. I don't want her to feel like she has to hide things from me, or even worse, to feel guilty or shamed for what she feels or what, she wants to do, or for who she is. Because at the end of the day, if we normalize this conversation about sex with everybody, it will. And I explained to her, I said, honey, sex is as eating is a physiological need. It's something that you need in your life to be complete, to be normal, to be balanced. I said, how you approach it, it's a different matter. And I said to her, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to come and ask me, because I will always tell you the truth. That was the one thing that I taught my daughter. Always be brutally honest with me and yourself. And I said,
I'm trying
come
that.
And ask
she's
me.
Quite secretive, my daughter. Not secretive. She's quite a closed book. It's unbelievable. And me, Sarah, her mum, we discuss her a lot in that respect. She's a closed book. Yeah.
Try and because children at that age, they don't know how to approach adult conversations or adult relationships. Try and lead by example. Open up to her. Tell her about stuff that you've done behind your parents' back. Adulty stuff, like when they told you not to watch the telly and or they told you to go to sleep and you read under the covers, or when you broke something and you hid from your parents. Give them the chance to see you not as the perfect parent that everyone think their parents are, because they don't have anything to measure it with, right? They all have 1 or 2 parents. So give them a chance to see the real you, the one that screws up, the one that fails, the one that has his own challenges and doubts and things, and just go, it's normal, it's natural. I remember when I told my mum I'll be home by midnight, when I was a teenager. I went with my friends and tiptoed in the house at 2 a.m. We all done that. Let's face it, and they will too, definitely. But I found that when we open up to our kids to the level that they can understand from a mental point of view, they will start opening up to us as well. And that's the most valuable thing you can do as a parent, when your child trusts you with everything. But yeah, having that openness.
Tom's just said
helps.
age appropriate transparency. And
Yes,
that's basically what you're saying,
that is
isn't
correct,
it? Yeah.
Tom. Yes. Age appropriate transparencies. I mean, yes, you would tell probably one of your friends, when I was in uni, I smoked something that I shouldn't have. But you wouldn't say that to your parents, would you? You wouldn't necessarily go and explain everything to them. And it's exactly the same with everybody. But I think when we show... Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I'm doing that. Like, so I had a kid, my oldest kid. I didn't tell him anything honestly about me, because I was very challenged upbringing, and then had a very challenging teenage years, which involved me being a completely different person and making every mistake known to man, and big mistakes that had big consequences. And now I say this now with my middle son, Lucas, I'm being honest with him, because I'm disclosing things in these podcasts. Like, I'm telling the truth. If someone asks me something, I'm telling the truth. And I think if he finds it, I'd rather tell him. So now I'm trying that honesty thing with him. Dylan says to me, yeah, you shouldn't have done it with me because I'd have held it against your dad. And he would have. My oldest son, he would have held it against me, because he's smart. And he's doing unbelievably well. And Lucas is very different. And I'm trying that. I'm trying the honesty thing about exactly what you said. I'm trying that the minute, just literally last week. And I'm finding it works for me.
Yeah. And I think because also another society programming, it's not necessarily our parents, but that the society, we've seen it over and over again, and especially in the male environment, don't express yourself. Don't show how you feel. Don't show weakness, because the men from the K-era, they were the ones who were strong. They were the conquerors. They were the defenders. They were the protectors, the providers, etc. And the women have always been perceived as the nurturers, the emotional, the caregivers, right? And that built the beliefs that we buy by today. And most of the time, they're subconscious beliefs who hijack our behavior on a daily basis, and we're not even aware of them. But the same, I am extremely fortunate and lucky to have a partner who is very aware. He is the kind of man who would look at me and he would go, right, what's up? Even if I haven't told him anything. He knows me very well, but he can also understand when I need just listening or support, or to tell me that I was wrong, or to tell me. And I absolutely adore him for that.
His emotional intelligence is high. He's got good emotional intelligence.
Exactly. And his family is totally the opposite. Some of them, anyway. But it's a generational thing. My father, your father, their parents, again, they have not been taught to actually say, be honest. And from that honesty comes vulnerability. It comes honesty. It comes openness. It comes deep, meaningful relationships. Yeah. Nobody has told them that. They just said, be strong, keep going. Have a drink, get over it. It doesn't work like that.
I've worked with quite a few people who, for instance, people who are I can understand it being a man. When you're raised without a father, you sort of have this issue, and you'll notice it because if you'll find when I was messed around, all my mates messed around. Not one of us had a dad. One of us had a dad, and he wasn't a good dad. He was like not having one. I think it'd be better with being like one of us. Always having to prove yourself, and after a bit, you have to learn. Because you've grown up without someone like my kids, they don't have to prove themselves, because I've taught them to be confident with inside themselves, and they're always got me. They can ring me up, and we will go through it together. And when you don't have that, you prove yourself all the time. And after a bit, you have to think, stop proving myself. Because after a bit, you're saying, try and be vulnerable, because vulnerable actually gets you a lot better places quicker, because people understand it and they can accept it. And that's been a massive massive one for me to try and understand. And it's a constant thing going on, but I see a huge problem with when either of the male role models, but I had a mum, either are missing. You can see it's, it's a, like, it does give a lot of things having good parenting behind you. So those who haven't had parenting or are different circumstances, it's one of them where we got conditioned, and I'm leaving that conditioning behind. But it's only when you realize these conditions and reactions of how you've done in the past that you can leave them behind and get some new ones. So yeah, I'm totally with that. Totally.
And not sure if you're aware, the reason why, because parents divorced when I was 4, I have to have a stepdad who was there for me. He was the kind of stepdad that would go, "Dad, my car broke down. Okay, right. Give me an hour. I'll be there and come and help you."
Exactly. Did you say your stepdad? Did you say that was your
stepdad? Stepdad.
Right.
Yes. So my stepdad was the kind that would go like, "Oh, not again," but he would still come and help me,
Yeah. Awesome.
No, but the majority of children who had either a totally missing parent or even physically present but not emotionally involved, will always try to prove themselves, because in their subconscious, the motivation behind that is, why was I not enough for my parent to stick around? Even when they die, it wasn't their choice to die, or whatever happened, they're gone. The child would always go, why was I not good enough for them to stick around? And they will constantly, as adults, try to prove themselves and be better, and they will always give of themselves more than it is necessary, because they want to prove, I am a good person, I am a kind,
Yeah.
And that comes down, child that will always need that kind of reassurance and healing and love, unconditional love, that we missed from that missing parent.
Yeah.
It's very, I think that the human mind and emotions, it's such a intricate but wonderful space to explore.
I can tell we have a similar views on that like, for instance, when I did this live, you didn't flip at all. When I said live, you wasn't bothered. I liked that because, and it went totally wrong, and everyone could see everything was going wrong for you. It's going wrong. I think, like, I've got a big program that I'm developing at the minute going forward, and I'm probably going to make a lot of failures. But if I don't make them failures, I won't get any success. And I've never been scared of failure, but I haven't done that much recently to fail at. So I do the YouTube and stuff, so that's potential stuff. But yeah, you've got to accept failure as a part of success, and that a failure is a stepping stone. Because everyone, you learn something about yourself, about what you're doing. And it could be that you think, actually, I thought I was going to be great. It's terrible. What a terrible idea, I've had a lot of them in my life.
Yes. But do you know, I think it was Edison who tried the light bulb experiment like 3,000 times. And somebody said, God's sake, just give it up. You failed 3,000 times. And he said, no. I actually found 3,000 ways on how not a light bulb. And yes, and Gary Vee, I don't know where of him. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah,
He's an American entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I love him. With the swearing and everything that he comes, he's all so intense, awful, but I love his rawness, of his honesty. He will always say it to your face. Look, you're wrong there. You're totally wrong there. You shouldn't do this. You should do that. Just go for it, And I love the way he said, I love when people say no to me. I ask them, do you want to work with me or do you want to do a business? And they go, no. And then I realize it's an answer. It clarified it for me. I'm never going to question it. And you never know, they might come back. But I have an answer. To me, that is an outcome. It's not a failure. It's an outcome. It's a result. And I like to approach pretty much everything, my projects and my life and my personal life. I like to approach it from the same perspective. Do you know what? Let's meet someone for the first time, a potential friend or a potential client. If we don't click, that's fine. At least I know. So I totally agree with you as well. And
It's like, I've had this thing. So I'm a confident person.
Mhm.
I'm
Clearly.
not approachable. I'm confident. I'm happy in my own skin. That
Mhm.
confidence is a massive barrier. I'll give you an example. Like, I had a friend die from when I was younger in the bad days. Quite a few of them stayed on drugs, and one of them died about 2 years ago. I loved him, called John Mitchell. I love the guy. He was an absolute gent. And just before he died, I'd started spending time with him, trying to help him in some stuff that he was doing. And he started telling me, I'm going to this thing called it's an art place. You can go. Like, he was homeless at the time, and you can go. People who are having difficulties, maybe homelessness, maybe drug abuse, alcohol, depression, mental illness, whatever it is, you can go to this place. And when he died, I thought, I'm going to go. I'm going to start going there and volunteering. But what I realized, I loved it. I love craft. I love all that stuff. So I go down there, but I'm always judged on my confidence because people judge it as. So I go in and I see it happening. Oh, they've judged me. They think I'm this. They've just put me in a little box. And then I have to spend my time for me to come across as me. And eventually they'll come out of it because they judge my confidence as a
Mhm.
certain way. And then I know it's happened. I'm looking around thinking, oh, it's happened again. And now I'm going to have to wait for them to, after a bit, they'll start listening to the other things I say and start realizing, actually, I've made a perception that wasn't right, what wasn't correct there. But when it happens a lot, it's like, I'm there for good. I'm volunteering. I'm wanting to help people. I want to give them experience. And I think, I've been judged again. And by the volunteers. And after a bit, they come round because I'll tell them some stuff about me. And they'll be like, you do that, do you? And I'll see it slowly change. But everyone has this way of perceptions not always being true. And people, perception for me is the most important component of everything because we have that. That's what we have. It's our choice, how we perceive something. Before, when I was losing you, my perception was,
Yeah.
inside was going, oh no.
It's the same thing with I've read a book once about confidence. It was an NLP book, NLP, neuro linguistic programming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and there was, I think the first sentence in the first chapter was, confidence is how you perceive it. It's not, it's relative. It's not something, first of all, that you can measure it, to say, right, on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident do you feel? Exactly. Confident do you feel? Not how confident you are or how confident you are perceived. Because you can be, for example, my daughter, when she is stressed or anxious about something, a situation or a person in particular, she talks a lot and she's loud. So people perceive that as her being confident. Actually, for her, that is a coping mechanism. That's how she goes, right, if I put this front, people will not see me as weak or will not see me as what. So, but I know her and I can read these signs. To people who see her for the first time, they're going to go like, wow, she sounds like she's 20, not 10. She comes across as she know it all. That is the thing. Same with me. Because of my frame, people assume I'm this, like dainty, petite, a little bit, probably shy, kind of woman that needs protection. As I feel I don't need anybody to protect me. I think the world and the universe is holding me, and I've been brought into this existence to be myself, to be who I am. And I've always believed that my safety has never been an issue point of view. I have my wits about. I can make some judgments for myself. I don't need a protector. I don't need, and I need to save anybody else, and nobody else needs to save me. That kind of perspective, So yes, I think perception, how we perceive people, it's a very personal view.
Yes.
We look
I'm
at
big as well. I'm big. I'm like a big unit. I'm 6'3", sort of like 14 and a half stone. I'm big. So I'm an ever pressing, I can't help being big wherever I go.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly. My partner is like that. He's 6'2", and clearly in comparison to me, he looks absolutely massive. Like in his cycling club, he's known as the unit because it's much bigger than the others.
What is he?
But,
Is he? Because I've got I don't cycle too much because I'd be too thin. Because cycle can just drops weight off you. It just literally pulls. And I like to be, I don't want to be big, but I like to feel, and sort of. Is he got size as well? Is he? He loves the cycling. Does he love the cycling?
He's perfectly proportioned. He's about 15, 16 stones.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah.
But he has this momentum about him. Once I had bumped into him by accident, and I recoiled back. I was like, "Whoa, whoa! Sorry, honey." And this happens all the time. He used to play football, and he said when they were tackled, the other guys didn't expect him actually to be that well grounded. And they would just bounce off him. And he's like, "Oh, I always had this. I don't know why it happened." So again, it's a matter of perception because when he was that young, he was still that tall, but he was a twig. I saw a picture of him. I didn't recognize him. He was like, but it's changed now. No, I wouldn't say he's slim like the cyclists are.
No, if he's 15, 16 stone, I know how big he is. Yeah, no, yeah.
He's well proportioned.
He's a bit of a unit.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, again, perception. People see him and he's got a beard and he's very manly, and people expect him to be a bit, like rough. He's not. He's a marshmallow inside. And I love him for it.
I have this where I'm at work at now. Just around the corner, there's this guy called Dave, my mate called Dave, and he has this shop.
Yeah.
He's big. Like I'm 6'3", he's 6'5", 6'6", and he's like 19, 20 stone. He's massive, right? And you're on about perception that I think, well, if you meet him, he is so friendly. To the point, I once said to him, I didn't know him well, I went, Dave, people walk over you a little bit. And he went, how would you know that? I went, because you're so nice and you've got this big frame that I feel like you're having to act differently because everyone looks at you as so big. And he went, you've just picked it up in 1 minute. Yeah, everyone does walk over him because he doesn't want, because he looks massive, but he's as soft as a kitten. He's like a little kitten. And I think people work that out quickly, that possibly it's almost like the tall guy who stooches a bit when he walks, he walks a bit down because you've got to be who you are, no matter who you are, what your size is, you've got to be you and be comfortable with who you are, and that whatever it is. And I think in your 40s, that starts to happen anyway. I think your 20s are quite confusing for me. You're like, all about your look and all this stuff. You hit your 30s, and I love my 30s. Everyone. Yeah, I think everyone. My kid's in his 20s now, and I just think he's actually, I think he's doing really well for that where he's at because he's massive as well. My son's 6'5" as well, and 16, 17. He's a big unit. But we're like, it's just, I have perception for me is really important in everything we got. Like, if you've got something going on, it's your choice how you think about it. And often people, as an entrepreneur, people will not understand. Often we lose to win because we look at an outcome as a perception. We perceive what's going on and think, everyone will think you can't go with that option because you're losing. No, this is called a lose-win. I'm losing in any case. I've got to find the best way that makes my mind absorb it, move forward and move on and leave it behind. And that is our choice that I try and teach people all the time. You've mentioned perception a lot. You've mentioned loads. We are very similar. And I got you. I was saying this before you came on. You'd done a post. And I remember I sent you a message saying, did you write that? And that, because I'm not the best writer. I was so chuffed. I can't remember, but I was so chuffed with what you'd wrote. And I thought, bloody hell, you've nailed that. You absolutely nailed it. So that's how I kept my perception of you was straight away. I like this woman.
Oh, thank you very much. I love your energy, I have to say. And yes, I was disappointed at the beginning, we couldn't actually have the right connection. And, technically, I mean, when the G thought, I'm not having, the computer said no, basically.
Yeah.
So, yes, but at the same time, I always that everything happens for a reason. Every single thing that happens in our lives happens for a reason.
I agree.
Either for us to learn a lesson or to learn something about ourselves, to push through the uncomfortable situation, push through something that you thought, this flower pink, and all of a sudden you see it yellow. Wow, that's amazing. Just, and as long as we are open to understand and to accept something different in ourselves, in our environment, in the opportunities that come across, because I never thought of doing actually a live podcast ever. And here I am. I thought, right, do you know what? I'll give it a go. When I asked you, I messaged you, and for everyone who's listening, I actually messaged Christian before to say, is this a video or not? Just to know if I need to put some makeup on, because perception, right? In a woman,
I've obviously got my makeup on already. You see, I knew it was live.
You're so lucky, honestly. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, do you know what? I haven't worn makeup the entire lockdown, and I met with a neighbor a few days ago, and she asked me if I was ill. And she said, are you having a breakdown then? If you're okay. And then we realized that actual people's perception of women wearing makeup for whatever reason, either they're having a nervous breakdown, or they're physically sick. So I said, no, babe, you look fine. Don't worry about it. And I was thinking, before we started the live, I was thinking, I don't want people to think that I'm having either a nervous breakdown or I'm terminally ill. So I was like, better plaster on, and better put some plaster on. I'll be fine.
Well, when you gave me that message, I thought, do I tell her it's live? Because I told you it was live then. I've never done live. So I tried to do it once before, and for whatever reason it didn't work. And it's a new thing. Like, we've had 2 people watching us now, but over the next year they're all going to be live. And every time, because I was just saying, and it was more, I was more under pressure when I was saying it before, because you weren't there, and I was like, right. I was on it. What do I do? Yeah, what do I do? But I was just saying, when it all goes wrong, what's the worst? What's the worst of it? What's the worst of it? It's all gone wrong. What's the worst that could happen? So it leads me, right? So I've just drifted for this. This is something I'm going to do. So about 3 years ago, and firstly, I'm funny. I can have a laugh, but I went to do stand-up comedy at the Deansgate Comedy Store, and I was all up for it. Did this show, prepared for it, ready. I've done loads of public speaking. I've been a presenter. I've done it to thousands of people at different, like a running company. So I got to stand-up comedy. I actually, that day, I'd presented to 3,000 people and I do a bit of comedy as it goes, in the moment. So I write the script, grill, all sorted. Get to the Comedy Store. I start feeling a little bit nervous, and I never used to think I get nervous. I get nervous. I've got no problem accepting it. I get nervous. So we got this thing. I start getting nervous watching it. I start getting more nervous than I've ever been in my whole life. So I'm doing it. In the end, I get up to do it, and I get massive, not a little bit, stage fright. I go up, I climb up, and I am petrified. I've been 3,000. There was more people at the day's event that day. I'm petrified. I end up being A, not funny, which isn't good for stand-up. B, I closed. I couldn't say anything. And C, I like, it ended 1 minute 42. I lasted, and it is a harsh environment. You get donged off. 3 people in the crowd. Put the flags up. You're off. 1 minute 42. I lasted. I had a come down off it. I felt after it wasn't nerves. I felt a bit destroyed. That it was a real test, and I failed in my mind right at the time. So I went home, and it did my head in that had happened, and I thought, I'm doing it again. So the next time I went and I didn't have a script. I just thought, I'm going up. I don't get nervous. I'll just get on stage and so I did it. I got up, but the thing is, I had no depth. So I had a bit, and you're not going to believe it, but genuinely, I got booed off at 1 minute 42 again. So twice. Just this week, I was thinking, what am I scared of? I've got to start living my life of fear. And as well, I do a YouTube channel, so I'm always wanting content and coming up with it. I'm doing it. I'm going again. I'm going, and I'm going to film myself film me doing it, and I'm going to share it on my channel. Because if I don't have that fear and overcome it, I'll spend the rest of my life thinking, how would I have done if I'd actually done what I was trying to do? Because I've never once done it. I had a script first, didn't do it. Second time I had no script. I've still got I'm doing it just for that fear factor. I'm going to experience it, and I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. So,
can I ask you a coaching question?
Yes, of course you can.
Okay. So, what is that fear about?
You know what? That's interesting you say that, because this is what happened. So the first time round, the fear came from, I don't know whether it was overwhelmed. I don't know whether it was, I don't actually know. But the second time I had no fear. So when I went the second time, I thought, I'm not a fearful person. I'm going to go there. I'm doing it. I didn't have any fear the second time. I got up and I got up and I just was me, and I let myself be me.
Mhm.
I only lasted 1 minute 42. Next time I've already started the plan, because you've got to get to 5 minutes. If you get 5 minutes, you're through. But 5 minutes is a long time to some stage. When you ask me what I was feared, I don't fear failure, because that's not something I fear.
Mhm.
Do you know? I tell you what happened. I actually fell out with someone on the night because they filmed me. I went with 3 mates and they filmed me and they shared it on Facebook later. And it really bothered me. This was quite a lot of years, maybe about 8 years ago. And you're on a self-discovery yourself. And like now, I can't wait to do it. I'll fear and I'll get all the anxiety, but because I'm filming it, I'll have a bit of I'll be saying straight away, let me just tell you what happened last time. And I'll have something to say, and I'll say that I'm being filmed. Then the emphasis is a little bit on them, because whenever you're the filmer, everyone's petrified of the film. And it is like, I'm not looking for power, but it might give me 5 minutes. So when you ask me what I feared, I'm not too sure. It wasn't failure. And I didn't think I was going to be a stand-up comedian. I just wanted to do it. I don't do marathons because I know I could if I trained. I do a lot of exercise. So I want to do something out of my comfort. Like, I want to be in a panto. I'm going to do a panto as well. I've decided I want to do a panto. So I'm not in a panto
And you
yet.
can be the woman for once.
I will go for the woman.
like I said, I've never been a woman, and I was like, that's obvious. You can give it a try then, see what it's like, and walk the street like that. Just let all the makeup, leave the dress on, just walk down the road like that. Oh God, there would be so much interaction, I'm sure, especially to see a 6 foot woman makeup and dressed up to the nines, in the middle of the day, probably walking down the high street. Film that. I would watch that any day.
I think it's that when you said as a coaching thing, because I coach myself, and saying what is it you felt, I can't identify what I felt then, but I can identify what I feel now. And I almost feel a little bit silly that I let a perception override me when I understand perception a lot more. And as well, every day I move on, I'm a better version of me, because I become more wiser and more educated of the things that I surround myself with. I listen, like you brought up Edison, now random. Edison was on my audiobook this morning. I was doing a goal-related audiobook by Brian Tracy, and he mentioned Edison 3,000 times that he failed. And it's ironic that you bring it up on the very morning that I've just listened to that. Coincidence or not?
No, there are no coincidences. No, I don't believe there are coincidences, not at all. But fear of what? That I would really, if you do journaling, try that. And I know, because I'm a coach and I coach myself.
I've just started.
However,
I've just started.
Good, fantastic.
I've just started journaling, and it's about I'm designing a mindset program at the minute, because everything that, I'm flaky at everything, right? Apart from my mind. That's the one thing I've always been in complete control of. No, so that's a lie. Why am I lying to
Not
everyone
always.
No.
You admit it yourself.
Yeah, no, that'd be a lie. But I am pretty much always in control of it. But in the past, I've obviously not been. And I've learned how to manage that process. And it is, once you get to learn how to manage that, you're exactly the same. What you were saying earlier about when things, I believe things go wrong for a reason. So when my stand-up comedy thing failed me, something was meant to happen next. And it might have been for this YouTube channel, because I didn't have a YouTube channel then, and I'm always running out of content. Next time I do it, maybe that was what it was meant to be. I was meant to fail, because every failure you have isn't a failure. It's a stepping stone for your success. Like, my son went for this job before he got the job he's in now. If he didn't get it, my son was they realized he was going to be way too good for it, because he's got the most amazing job now. And I use that as an example with him, that you weren't meant to get that one, because look at your job now, it's phenomenal. He's like, yeah.
Exactly. And like you said, it's not, I see as those closed doors, like that failure of not making it as a stand-up comedian, I see that as a guidance from life, from energy, from universe, from God, whatever you believe in. I believe they're all valid as long as they mean something to you.
Yeah.
So I totally believe that every door that closes is actually a derail. They just try to guide you towards another path that is more meaningful and more authentic to you. I once got a job after almost stalking the CEO. I got a job as a reporter when actually I wanted to apply for a job as an admin there. And
a newspaper?
Ended up,
Is this at a newspaper?
No, for a TV channel. And I ended up being the cameraman, the
channel?
PA. Oh, that was back in Romania when I was 22 or 23. And because I'm originally from Romania, but I came to England 13 years ago, and I'm a British citizen now, so I'm okay. I'm legal.
But you haven't got any Romanian accent. Where I live, there's a lot of Romanian people because I work in the tourism industry, and you've got to sound like you've got a British accent.
You see, I had to learn English all over again when I came to England, because I was in Romania. We learned the American English. So imagine this.
That. You do get that a lot. I think, are you American? No, but they've learned English from America. Yeah.
So
wow.
When I got to England for the first time, I worked in...
We were doing so well. We were so well. I'm dying to know this story now, and you're obviously telling it.
In a pub today, guys.
We missed it all, that story then. You went... When I went to England, when I came to England, we missed it from then on.
Oh, no.
Your story, I lost you.
Okay. When I came to England, my first job was to be a waitress in a pub. And the manager was trying to teach me how to work the till, to place the orders. What does it mean? Add stuff to the orders, whatever. And my first ever customer, he came to me and he said, can I please have a pint of lager shandy? So I turned around to the manager and I said, what's a pint, what's a lager, what's a shandy? Because in American language, in American English, nobody asked for, they asked for beer, but he looked at me and was like, right, okay, this is lager, this is ale, this is beer, this is a shandy, this is a top, so I had to learn literally British English all over again.
Which is difficult. I imagine that because someone said like our pretenses of words and all. I don't even get it, and I don't get it. I am dyslexic. I'm not using that as an excuse. I don't get it. If you read, I can't do past tense and all that anywhere, let alone someone who speaks another language and has to learn it. I think it's phenomenal being able to speak more than one language. And you're fluent, like you are. Like I don't understand that you there's not even this much where I thought that you were a different nationality. Not even that much. That's just, it's kind of blown my mind actually, that you must be a pretty awesome individual to retrain yourself to where to talk. That's phenomenal.
I was actually lucky enough that my dad, he started teaching me English words, and he could only say that when we were going out for a walk, because remember, Romania was in under communist regime for like 45 years. So you couldn't speak foreign languages. You didn't have access to anything that was Western. No, I had the first pair of jeans when I was 12, because we are not allowed to have anything that would be Western. No movies, no music, no news, nothing. We were not allowed to leave the country. So my dad used to teach me English when we were going for a walk, and used to teach me how to count from 1 to 10, how to say mother, father, grandfather, and so on. And I think that was the groundwork, that was laid to my ability to learn foreign languages. And I also speak Italian, but it's very similar to Romanian, because Romanian is a Latin language. So
the Romanian people I know speak loads of languages that are Latin based, like 5 or 6 or something like that. They're phenomenal.
Yeah. So but you know what? I think we got lost a little bit.
No, do you know? Well, I want to give you my example of. Do you know why I know? Like,
Go on.
I never knew any Dragoshes. I've got 3 Dragoshes in my phone now. Do you
Yes,
know what?
generation
I met the first
generation.
Dragosh. He was Dylan's mate. Dylan's mate at school. Dad's called Dragosh.
Yeah.
Met him, and then I
Yeah.
ended up 2 other Dragoshes came in my life, and I went. Last one, I went. Is your name Dragosh? He went. How did you know?
How do you
I
know?
went, it's the only bloody Romanian name I know, and you're my 3rd one. If I got my phone book, I've got 3 Dragoshes in here.
Yeah. 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 Same with the girls' names. You know, my generation, I think I know two other anchors in, you know, one beautician who's done eyebrows and stuff and whatever, and another one whose daughter went to school with my daughter. So, and I used to go to school in Romania with another anchor. So it was quite a generational thing, you know,
Was
to
there any
have
Dragoshes in
anchor.
your class?
Absolutely. And he had,
I didn't
yes,
even know the name until like he has. Dylan's mate's been mate with Jack thingy for a long time. But yeah, I think that's phenomenal that you like such a late age. Did you come here at 30 then? Did you come here when you were 30?
yes, that,
Wow.
yes.
Amazing. See,
Yeah.
where I live, we have a huge amount of Eastern Europeans because I live in the Lake District. So we've got so many hospitality things that are filled by Polish, Romanian, Lithuanian. And without that help and integration, we would be knackered. And you know what? It's like, funny enough, where the business I have now, I rent some room to some Polish ladies, and they're phenomenal at just being decent people with me. And I just find that to that we've got the British stay British and all that kind of bull crap that doesn't understand where we came from in the past and all that kind of stuff that comes, and you know, all that bit. But I see it, if all the Polish and everyone went back from where I live, we would be massively affected. And integration goes really well. I think we're so blessed by it, you know, sort of blessing. You're a blessing being here for people. Blessing.
Oh, thank you very much. And do you know what? I appreciate. Don't get this wrong, but I came to England. I thought the English people were so they hold back so much of their emotions and expressing their emotions. You know, my partner, he's definitely British. Well, he says he's Northerner. He says I'm not English, I'm Northerner, but he's
Northerner. Is he? Where's he from?
I think it's in Manchester. He was born there, but he came down when he was 5. So,
I was born in Manchester as well.
There you go. Do you know what? We were watching the footy last night, you know, the cup.
Yeah.
And we're not really football fans, but because it's one of those events, it's
a buzz. Love it.
Yeah. And you look at every team. Last night, Austria played Netherlands, I think.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yes, and I know, right? And half of the teams, both teams, they were other nationalities.
Yeah.
And I was telling Graham, I was telling my partner, I said, do you know what? There's so many languages and so many nationalities. There's so much richness coming from each and every of us. Everybody has a talent, even if they have discovered it or not. But there's so much richness in the world. And yet, so many of us, we choose to focus on you're not my kind.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Because we have 2 arms, 2 legs, a heart, a soul, a brain. And we are our kind. Yeah. Regardless if you have a passport that tells thing or not, that is just so irrelevant. As if you would say, I love my partner and she wears a red dress. You know, that is exactly superficial.
Well, I'll give you. So when I used to be a teacher, and I used to teach in EBD, emotional behavioural difficulties. So these were kids who were out of control. And we had one kid called, what was his bloody name? He was a young Asian kid. And all the kids were, this was in Blackburn, they were pretty racist to him. Get back to your own country and all that kind of stuff. So he was a bit of a naughty kid, this kid, though. So we ended up getting homeschooled. So I got to his house to homeschool him. And on the wall, there's the military cross, right? And I'm like, which is a massive British medal. And I'm like, what's that doing here? His dad, in the Second World War, came over to this country to fight for us and be in our army. And I've got all these kids telling him he should get back home. And I saw the military cross and I thought, That's a perspective that many people go wrong with. We're part of a colonialism. We have lots of different ethnicities because we went off everywhere and we created a lot of problems, and we were involved in slavery and everything. And you know what? And now that multiculturalism is what's making us great. And I think that racism and all that kind of thing will appear. And I know that some people are like that to Eastern Europeans, because I see it around here. I see it, of course. And I see it the other way around as well. But our majority, I see it not happening. The majority, like everything, I think there's like 1% are bad, and maybe not even that. And the rest of people are good. And we've all got some perceptions that hold us back. And once we can get through them, but really when you meet people, you meet the energy of a person. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
End of the day, soon the aliens might be here, and we'll be doing this all over again with a different breed and species. So when that comes, we're all going to have to get into perspective.
Yes, exactly. And I couldn't agree with you more. And, I had to face sometimes, I was fortunate enough, not to be singled out just because I'm not, purebred British, but I've never felt more at home. And I know some of my family and friends, they couldn't quite understand that. And I said, the reason why the reason why I left Romania was because I felt detached from their beliefs, from their mentality, from their perspective on life. I've always been rather positive. I always thought I could do more, I can do better. I always thought I don't admit unless I self. And that was a kind of approach to life that was not common in Romania or in the small town that I grew up in. And do you know what? When I first left Romania, I went to visit a family, a relative in Germany. And then it was like, whoa, hold on a minute. There are people that are my kind. Because
Germans are very much like the British. Because when I go to Germany, I actually think a lot of times you're British, you go somewhere, they don't like us straight away because we're British. We have to win them over, like the confidence thing. In Germany, I met so many people like me. I loved Germany. I've been there 3 times now. Amazing experience. You're totally right there. Oh,
yes,
totally.
Yes, absolutely. And then through things that happen, I ended up in England. And, I always thought deep down somehow that I will end up living in an English speaking country.
Wow.
My first thought was America. And then I ended up in England and I was thinking, this is home in every way possible.
Good.
The energy, the feel.
Good.
Everything. Literally, I've been run over by a bus a couple of times. Other than that,
British culture for me, I'm proud to be British. I don't we have a lot of things we'd like, because my nan was Welsh, so I might I'm British because of that. I live very near Scotland. I know there's many, but the British culture, I'm really proud to be British. I know we've got a past which I'm not proud of, but I can't be held by the past. I can only be held by the future.
Exactly.
So I'm part of that. And when you say that you absorb it, and I think one of my issues that I do have when people don't come here and don't absorb the British culture, because to be in Britain, you've got to be part of it. And you've got to be we're one of the freest countries in the world, but you've got to allow that freedom to everyone. Everyone is deserving of it, and you cannot hold it from anyone. And when people stop other people's freedoms, then they're not in our culture. And that's why I have a problem with. Hey, this has been brilliant. Everything has to end, but I've loved it. We'll do it again sometime, and we'll definitely connect. I've absolutely loved it. I knew I would, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Christian. Likewise, I absolutely adored it, and too much for being actually the podcast that I've ever done. Now I got the bug for it. I might actually search for more people too. But yes.
Yeah, I've got to say that it's one of the biggest buzzes. It gives you a buzz every time you do one. I've just looked on my phone and my accountant's ringing, so I'm going to end it on that note. Oh!
Absolutely. No, that's perfectly fine because
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christian. It was a pleasure.
See you later. Thanks, Anca.
Take care. Bye.